Hey Doug, I know you're enjoying a good read with the history of EC Comics, but we've got some questions for you. Are you ready?
No, I'm not. But for you, I'll make the time.
All right, so basically what we're going to do here is say, Doug Pagash, artist, in-house artist, designer for Retro Go-Go. What the hell were you thinking? And this is series 1, and we are talking about the EC ornaments. So Doug, first, who is EC Comics and why do they matter?
A short history for the uninitiated. EC Comics was, as it sounds, a comic company. It was most popular in the early 50s. And they were famous for war comics and crime comics and sci-fi with weird science, but they're most famous for their horror comics. Vault of Horror, The Haunt of Fear, and Tales from the Crypt. Those were the books that put them on the map. Why were they famous? The art and illustration for each one of these books was, they had really top-notch artists. They had really good writing. All the stories, there'd be 4 stories to a 10-cent comic, and at the end of each story would be usually a twist ending.
So how did you feel when we had the opportunity to work with EC Comics, something that was near and dear to you since you were a kid?
Well, EC Comics, you know, yes, they were near and dear to me as a kid, and they've kind of stayed in my life. You read a lot of articles, whether it's Steven Spielberg or Stephen King or George Lucas and a lot of other directors or other artists, they always reference EC Comics as an early influence on them too. I wasn't around in the 50s when they first came on the scene. They've been reprinted over and over and over again over the years, and that's where I got turned on to EC Comics, starting with what's a famous title for most people would know is Mad Magazine came from EC Comics, and some of those same artists worked on the early Mad magazines. Well, Mad would reprint those early Mads, and then you stood these guys do, and then you kind of discover all this other work that they created in the 50s.
Why Tales from the Crypt ornaments?
Well, all 3 of the horror titles that EC put out that I mentioned had the Goo Lunatics, the 3 horror hosts that introduced each of the stories and made wisecracks and kind of kept these really grim, sometimes gross horror proceedings very light with humor and very tongue-in-cheek, corny jokes. HBO, when they did Tales from the Crypt in the 80s, did their own version of a Goo Lunatic horror host and kind of melded all of them into one. Well, the original horror hosts, the art and style of them are near and dear to my heart, and I wanted to make them fully formed, fully realized in a way that I hadn't seen before.
So question, are you a Goo Lunatic?
I'm a fan addict.
You're a fan addict. Okay, tell me the difference between the two.
Well, that was within EC Comics. You had the Goo Lunatics were the horror hosts, but a fan addict was an EC aficionado. So you were addicted to EC and couldn't get enough. So you're a fan and an addict.
So being a fan and an addict, I would imagine that you had the passion there to create the ornaments, and get us into your head a little bit about the design of them or what you were thinking or trying to express.
Ornaments, because number one, I haven't seen them done before. There is not a ton of EC products in the marketplace. I, for one, never felt like their likenesses from the comics were captured, and I'll just hold this up here. I wanted to capture them in 3D form. What their style was, what their attitude is.
It looks like there's a lot of details. I see warts, I see craggly skin.
Oh yeah, there's all sorts of...
Patch
the artists who worked on these had all sorts of little details they put into it, and I wanted to put it in the ornaments themselves. I wanted to capture the style.
Let me go right to the face, because that's what's really... Let me see if I can get focused. There we go. Yeah, that's super cool. I even like how the arm is hanging on to one of the comics. Turn it around again.
I wanted to, this is something, you don't really see the backs of the characters in the comics, and I wanted to identify them when they're hanging on the tree. So I kind of went with, I thought it'd be fun if they look like they're in a biker gang. So they kind of have that
fun.
rocker patch look on the backs of all their, and it identifies them as the Crypt Keeper from Tales from the Crypt on the back.
And then it's got a little metal loop on the top there.
Yeah, for hanging.
So,
yep.
All right.
And I've got it on this one's attached to the display base, so when it's not hanging on the tree, you can display it wherever you desire, by your collection or by your books or by your computer. This is the Vault Keeper, who was the host of the Vault of Horror. And a fun little aspect of these is I wanted each one to tell a bit of the story of the history of EC Comics. So the Vault Keeper here is got a bewitched paintbrush and is painting the front cover to a holiday EC comic.
Does he have the biker patch?
Yes, he does, on the back.
Cool. Awesome.
And then we finally have the Old Witch, which was drawn a lot by Graham Ingalls, was the artist, and I really wanted to capture the style that Graham worked in, and he always put in little creatures and little details and things like that, so I wanted to put a little sleeping winged lizard on the Old Witch's shoulder as kind of a nod to all the kind of details he would put into his art. And then we've got the Old Witch from the Haunt of Fear on the back patch. Some other details on this guy: he's wearing the EC ring that came in the Fan Addict club kit that EC offered back in the 50s. And then what I really love is that we've even got artwork, I don't know if you can see over the
Okay, just hold it there.
witch's shoulders there, but the book the witch is looking at.
Bit. Hold it. But right there. Right there. Hold it. Yes.
So
the detail is just absolutely amazing, and I know with the artwork that you do, your gallery paintings or the independent stuff that you like to work on, one of your signature traits as an artist is your attention to detail. And I think that's what really separates these from other ornaments that I've seen in the marketplace. I mean, these literally look like figural, high-end decor pieces as much as they look like fun and interesting and commemorative ornaments.
I agree. I agree. No, these are all hand cast, hand painted. We've got full color water decals added. That is actual scans from the original art, so it's not going to be hacked up with a hand paint job. And I wanted to point out, the Old Witch with the bound volume here. That's kind of a nod to the many reprint books that came along over the decades since the 50s.
Nice. It almost looks like you did a vintage treatment to give it a little bit of wear and tear.
Oh yeah, yes.
Nice.
It's a worn, heavily
Nice.
worn and thumbed through volume.
Nice. I like how you think things through a little bit more than just taking an item or a picture or a character and just plopping it on something.
Well, I hope
Make it very interesting.
I hope it shows that this is more than just a job or just a license. This is, with Retro Go-Go, I'm lucky enough to work on a lot of the things that I loved as a kid. Betty Page came along when I was a teenager, but I get to work on Betty Page products. Bela Lugosi, I loved horror movies, working on Bela Lugosi. The Munsters, we had them as a license. That was a TV show I loved as a kid. I'm working on I did a officially licensed Batman 1966 painting. So I'm very lucky that as an adult, I get to play with all the stuff that I loved as a kid, and EC Comics was a big part of that. And I really wanted to pour a lot of that love and passion for these old books into these characters and into all of our EC related products.
Now, would someone be happy with them coming in a set of 3. I mean, sometimes you'd think of ornament and think you could get each one separately, but I know we intentionally put them all 3 together. Are they super connected? Is that why the 3 of them make sense together?
Yes, in this case, we thought about offering them individually, but in this case, they're they're like the Three Stooges. It's like they appear
Mo, Curly, Larry.
Yes,
you can't have one without the other.
In every book, there are all 3 of them. So
Yeah.
it really didn't seem to make sense to me to do one and not the other. Anybody who's really into these, you're going to want all of them. So that's why we did all 3.
So, Doug, I feel pretty good that we were able to figure out what the hell you were thinking.
That's good, because I have no idea.
And we thank you for bringing your creativity and your warped mind to us here at Retro Go-Go.
Until next time, when you need to know what the hell was I thinking.
What the hell were you thinking? And there we go. And then the real star of the movie. There we go.
This is Arrow, the studio mascot.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.